Picture this. Apple releases a $1,000 monitor stand that literally does nothing but hold your screen up, and the internet goes absolutely wild. Headlines everywhere scream about Apple's ridiculous pricing, tech YouTubers make reaction videos, and everyone's talking about how insane Apple has become. But what if I told you this is all part of Apple's master plan? What if those outrageous prices are actually a smokescreen, hiding something much more interesting happening behind the scenes? Because while we're all distracted by the shocking price tags, Apple has been quietly and strategically slashing prices across their entire ecosystem, and most people haven't even noticed. If you're enjoying uncovering stories like this, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next one. Let me blow your mind with what's really going on. For years, Apple built their empire on premium pricing and exclusivity. If you wanted the best, you paid Apple prices, no questions asked. But here's the thing that changes everything. Smartphone sales have been tanking, and not just for Apple, but for everyone. We're talking about a fundamental shift in the market that's forcing Apple to completely rethink their strategy. The smartphone revolution that started over a decade ago, it's basically over. Everyone who wanted a smartphone already has one. And the adoption rate has been flatlining since 2017. Sitting stuck in the mid-70% range with nowhere to go but down. Think about your own phone right now. How long have you had it? 2 years? 3? Maybe even longer? That's exactly the problem Apple is facing. People used to upgrade their iPhones every year like clockwork, but now smartphones last so long and new features are so incremental that people are holding onto their devices for years. The rich consumers in developing markets like China, who were supposed to save Apple's growth, they've dried up too. This is why Apple made that shocking move in late 2018 to stop reporting iPhone sales figures altogether. When a company stops bragging about their numbers, you know they're not pretty. So what did Apple do? They couldn't just come out and say, hey, our sales are dropping so we're cutting prices, because that would destroy their premium brand image overnight. Instead, they got sneaky about it. And their first move was honestly pretty sketchy. Remember the iPhone XR marketing disaster? For the first time in Apple's history, they started advertising trade-in prices on their main page, showing the XR for just $449. Sounds great, right? Except you needed to trade in an iPhone 7 Plus to get that price. It was basically false advertising, and Apple knew it. They quietly backed away from this strategy because it was damaging their reputation, but it showed just how desperate they were getting. But then something fascinating happened. Apple did something they had never done before. They actually lowered the price of a new iPhone. The iPhone XR launched at $750, but when the iPhone 11 came out the next year, it started at $700. $50 might not sound like much, but for Apple, this was earth-shattering. They were admitting, without saying it out loud, that they had pushed prices too far. And this was just the beginning of their price revolution. Look at Apple's lineup today, and you'll see something incredible. They now have iPhones available at every single $100 price point from $400 to $800. The iPhone SE at $400. Various older models filling the gaps, all the way up to their flagship phones. This isn't an accident. It's a carefully orchestrated strategy to eliminate price as a reason to choose Android over iPhone. Apple is literally building a wall of options, so no matter what your budget is, they have an iPhone for you. But here's where it gets really interesting. Even in their premium Pro lineup, Apple is being way more careful about price increases. When the iPhone 12 Pro Max came out, everyone expected it to cost $1,200 or even $1,300, especially after Samsung released their Note 20 Ultra for $1,300. But Apple stuck to $1,100, and they actually gave you more for your money. Bigger screen, double the storage, and better specs. This is the new Apple. Still premium, but much more conscious about pushing prices too high. The most shocking evidence of Apple's strategy shift? They created a web page called Have an Android? See Why You Should Switch. This is revolutionary for a company that has always acted like competition doesn't exist. For decades, Apple's attitude was simple. If you want cheap, go elsewhere. If you want the best, come to us. They never felt the need to justify why their products were better. Now they're actively trying to convert Android users and even accepting Android trade-ins. The old Apple would never stoop to this level, but the new Apple is fighting for every customer they can get. While everyone's focused on iPhone pricing, the real magic is happening with accessories and services. Take the Apple Watch. The original launched at $350, but today You can get a brand new Apple Watch Series 3 from Apple for just $200. That's nearly half the original price. Sure, it's a few years old, but honestly, not much has changed. The Series 3 does almost everything the Series 6 does for half the price. Apple is using brilliant contrast pricing here. They make the expensive Series 6 look premium, while the Series 3 looks like an incredible deal. And once you have an Apple Watch, you're trapped in their ecosystem because switching to Android makes your watch useless. The same strategy applies to AirPods. The regular AirPods are what Apple actually expects you to buy. The AirPods Pro and Max, those are just there to make the regular ones look reasonably priced. It's psychological manipulation at its finest, and it's working perfectly. But the biggest surprise is Apple's services, where there's absolutely no premium pricing at all. Apple Music costs exactly the same as Spotify Premium and gives you access to a larger music library. iCloud storage, identical pricing to Google Drive, $2.99 for 200 gigabytes, $9.99 for 2 terabytes. Apple One bundles everything together for extremely competitive pricing. There's literally no Apple tax on any of their services. They're fighting tooth and nail to compete on price, which is something the old Apple would never do. So if Apple is cutting prices everywhere, why do they still release those insanely expensive products like the $550 AirPods Max or that infamous $1,000 Pro stand? It's all about controlling the narrative and maintaining brand perception. Think about it. When Apple releases a budget iPhone SE, nobody cares. That's practical but boring. But a $1,000 monitor stand? That gets everyone talking. The media goes crazy, social media explodes, and suddenly everyone's discussing how premium and exclusive Apple is. These ridiculous products aren't meant to make money. They're marketing tools designed to reinforce Apple's luxury brand image while they quietly compete on price everywhere else. Look at the delivery times for the Pro stand. 3 weeks out, meaning it's probably made to order in China. That's not because of massive demand. That's because Apple barely makes any of these things. Compare that to their holiday delivery deal where they'll bring you a regular product in 2 hours for $5. They clearly have different priorities for different products. This is Apple's brilliant master plan. Systematically lower entry prices to capture more customers while releasing outrageously priced products that generate massive publicity and reinforce their premium brand. They're having their cake and eating it too. iPhone revenue has declined, but Apple's overall profitability has never been higher because they are making money from services, accessories, and ecosystem lock-in. Smartphone innovation may have peaked, but Apple's business innovation is stronger than ever. They've become more accessible while appearing more exclusive, more competitive while seeming more premium. Apple isn't just selling you gadgets, they're selling you a lifestyle lock-in. And right now, they're playing the business game better than anyone else. So next time you see headlines about Apple's ridiculous pricing, remember, you're seeing exactly what Apple wants you to see. What do you think about this strategy? Would you ever buy that $1,000 stand? Let me know in the comments below.